Hello there, Aries. Welcome to your monthly forecast. This is for the month of March, and I can't wait to see what kind of guidance and information is coming through for you this month. I like to start off every reading with a little bit of channeled information. I get that channeled information when I select a deck of cards and then begin to meditate on your sign. As I was doing that for you this month, the main information that I got was surrounding the heart space. And I saw that what will help you this month is to really open up your energy when it comes to how you're reacting and relating to the most intimate relationships in your life. So if I were to give this a card in tarot, because that might help you, it would be like the Seven of Wands, which is a card where sometimes you can build up your defenses to a point that it's difficult to hear, to see, to relate with other people. So I do believe it's important to have good boundaries, but sometimes we can shut off a little bit too much, or we might not be as open to receiving and understanding the other person as we need to be. So I'm just sensing that over the course of March, it will help you possibly in getting rid of any sort of arguments or neutralizing those, and also just working better with people in your life if you open up that heart space a little bit and just try to see things from their perspective more than you normally would. And I think that's going to set you up for success. Now let's go ahead and give the cards a good shuffle, and I'll run through the organization of how I set up each month's forecast for those of you that are brand new. After the channeled information, I pull a Celtic cross, and then I expand the forecast to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. At this point, however, I like to be quiet and just kind of take a look at the cards and the information that comes through, and then we'll continue from there. And in addition to what we see in front of us, I also like to take a look at a catalyst. The catalyst is really the theme for the month and the connective thread that runs through all of these. So let's see what that message is for you. We have a dragonfly card. Now for me, the dragonfly card really symbolizes an opportunity for you to make spiritual growth and leaps and bounds when it comes to projects. It's something that's taking flight. It represents, again, that sort of expansiveness of consciousness. So this month you have an opportunity to delve a little bit deeper into your creative energies, into the spiritual energies that are surrounding you. And this is great because as I look at what's been happening prior to this, we have the death card in the deep past. That's showing that there's a change that needs to happen if it hasn't already. And if something has started to unfurl, then I want you to know that it's most likely for the greater good, because the combination of death and dragonfly shows me change guided by spirit. So rest assured that even though changes can be uncomfortable, oftentimes there's simply an inevitability that we have to work through and release our attachment to. Now, I think for you, a lot of the change is going to happen with respect to relationships. Your center card is Queen of Cups. She's reversed and she's crossed by the Nine of Wands. These two cards usually indicate tension in a relationship. This, although this is a beautiful card here, it's a phoenix, it's showing that whatever you're getting through, you're going to come out stronger, by the way. But normally this card in a traditional Rider-Waite is illustrated by someone that's standing in front of 9 wands, and they have a bandage on their forehead, showing that they've been through a lot, that they're a fighter, but sometimes it can indicate fighting. And what we're looking at here with this Queen of Cups card crossed with this is possibly having some arguments, having some difficulties with someone in your life, or some misunderstandings. That ties into the channeled information that I received initially, which was to open up your heart and your mind to try to see something from the other person's perspective. It's not necessarily saying that they're right or that you're right, it's that their perspective may help you understand their motivations. So this can also kind of just be reflected in your general life. It doesn't have to be a relationship. You could look at like a work situation that's going on, or even some events that are happening around you. And if you were upset by them, understanding the motivation and why things sort of fell apart, it's going to help you really get behind the changes that are already happening. Now, if none of these things are feeling right for you, this is also speaking to the free will that can happen with the Death card. This can be something of your own volition. Perhaps you've decided to walk away from something. What I will say with this is make sure that it's not an emotional decision or an emotionally charged decision, because with the Nine of Wands, it's basically showing something near completion. So if you, for instance, are very close to finishing school and maybe you're a semester away or a credit away or something like that, these cards are saying don't let the emotion of exhaustion or feeling like you're going to fail or whatever it is hold you back from completing something that you've worked hard on. So that's just one example, but temper your emotions and try to see the bigger picture in this so that you don't end up making some sort of a decision that in the long run you think I could have done better, or I wish I'd given that a second thought before acting on that. When I'm looking at your recent past, rather, we have the Six of Wands card, which is really reminding you also not to feel too much pressure from either your peers, your family, or your closest friends. Six of Wands, when it's upright, is a card that usually indicates support and success. The reverse is showing a fear of pleasing people or sometimes having people weigh in too heavily, and that can sometimes take you off your own path and lose track of why you're doing something. So try to tune out the noise around you. Don't worry so much about if you're creative, the audience, if it's a family, what everyone is wanting you to do, and if it's work, what all these expectations are swirling around you. It's really important for you to figure out how you can do your best and why you're doing it as well. Is it something that you want? Is this something that you've just kind of continued to do because you've been pressured to it? So it's a little bit of a gut check and a heart check moment to see if you're on the right path. Now, as I look at your crowning card, we have the Eight of Swords here. This is a card where sometimes you're just not certain of what the answer is. It's a transparency card. It can be a fear of the unknown card. And what you really want to do here is try to find any way that you can to educate yourself or to fill in those missing blanks. So if there's someone in your life that you trust as a mentor or that you really use as a sounding board, this is a good time to go to them. Also, because we're talking about building some sustainability within yourself, about growing here spiritually, this can be a time for you to really just do some soul searching and decide, what is it I'm afraid of? What is it I'm looking for? Sometimes when I have sessions with a client one-on-one, I will ask them, what is it that you really want to do on the planet? What's your purpose in life? And often there's silence there because we aren't asked that question as adults enough. And so I want you now to have a chance to think about if something has left your life, whether it's a job, a loved one, something that you really care about, rather than simply going back to thinking, I have to replace that now. Think about, what do I want to do in its absence? Do I want to try something different? Am I ready to even go back to what I was doing before? So the Eight of Swords is a soul-searching moment, and we were talking about this being both a creative and a soulful card. So decide for yourself, is this the path that I really want to continue on? And if it is, great, you know what to do. And if it isn't, then use this chance to redefine what's important to you. As I look at your near future, we have the Emperor in reverse. And when I see this, this is a month where you're probably either not able to manage everything that you have before, or you're needing to release a little bit of your responsibilities. I just talked to another sign about a similar message, but for you, what I want you to do is not overthink things. I believe that you already know what is most important for you to do. Let the other stuff sort of just be on the back burner unless someone asks about it, and manage your own affairs the most. And this is the most important message, really, is try not to worry about what the competition's doing, what your friends are doing, what your parents want you to do. It's important for you to simply manage your life. And if people start to get a little pushy, sometimes the Emperor or the Empress can indicate a person in your life that feels like they have the authority or the reason to tell you to do something. Remind them that you need some space and some time to grow and to think on your own as well, and that this could be kind of negating or not allowing you to be as independent as you need to be. When I look at your ego card, it's reminding you to take time to yourself. The Four of Swords card, it's not just about sleep. It's about downtime, relaxation, and having some escape, something to escape your day-to-day concerns. So make some time for meditation, for getting out in nature if weather permits, or just for a change of scenery. That seems to be also a common thread that I'm seeing this month. A change of scenery equals a change of energy. A change of energy can change your entire thought process and understanding of a situation. When we look at your environment card, we have the Seven of Pentacles and it's reversed. Now this is showing slow, but still steady improvement when it comes to finances. Now there's probably an opportunity to get a little bit more, I would say, traction when it comes to your money situation. So if you have an abundance, this is showing that things aren't performing as well as they should, and you really should take a closer look. Now, if you have any sort of debt in your life, or if you have anything that you're trying to pay down, this card is really encouraging you to take a look at those debts or payments and make sure that the interest rates are working in your favor. And if not, you want to adjust them or see if there's a way to move that around. And it can also indicate a need to save a little bit more. Whatever you're doing, there seems like there's an opportunity to improve your finances a bit, but I do see that you'll continue to improve once you make that fix. The Two of Wands in hopes and fear. This is really just about being afraid of thinking what's next. Sometimes we get so wrapped up in the moment, or if something falls away, a relationship, a job, an opportunity, then we think, I don't know what to do next. I don't have a plan B. Now, as I'm looking at your hopes and fears card, we have the Two of Wands, and the Two of Wands really encourages you to look ahead, plan ahead, and create some sort of an action plan for the future. The reversal of this is saying that don't wait for a rainy day before you create a contingency plan. And by contingency, I mean it is like a rainy day fund in case you have to, if you're unemployed and you need to take care of yourself for a while, that's one thing. Making sure that you're saving up for retirement, like a 401k or an IRA. Making sure that you have beneficiaries on all of your accounts. And of course that you have a will so that if you have any dependents, that they will be taken care of when you're not here. So all of these things are important. And a lot of times we just get busy with work and we think, I'll deal with that another day. And then when that other day happens, you're left, or your family's left kind of scrambling. So take care of yourself, take care of those that depend on you. Get things in order this month. Organize your contingency plans for money, for everything really. So this is just a good chance for you to kind of take stock. So if you've got any downtime, or if you want to just sort of like get rid of some of the fears and doubts that you might be grappling with, a good way to do that, at least it works for me, is to see what I have, or to see what you have. So I put everything down on paper. Once I see it, then I can kind of make sense of it and the emotional stress goes away. So if that works for you, great. If you need help, also get that help so that you can do that, but you don't want to put off contingency plans any further. You might need them in the future, and when that happens, you won't have to worry about it. Your outcome card is the Hermit card reverse, which is really encouraging you to step outside of your comfort zone, try to get a little bit more involved with your friends, your family, and also in professional networks to try to make new alliances and friendships that can help you in the long run. So although it's good to spend time on improving yourself, on getting in touch with your spirituality, this is a continuation of what we're seeing here. Don't go so far that you've cut yourself off from people who miss you, and also potential friendships and alliances that you could be making this month. I would say towards the end of the month, that's the time to come out of the shell. So if you want to do some of this internal soul searching and work on your life and planning of contingencies and all of this, make that the first 2 to 3 weeks, and then towards the end, try to get a little bit more active on your social calendar. Okay, let's expand your forecast. We'll begin with health. Health is all-inclusive. It's mind, body, and spirit. So let's take a look at the cards now and see what they have to say about that. We have rest and reconsider, which fits really nicely with the Four of Swords that you received already. And see how both of them are kind of a change in atmosphere. This is something outside, away from your normal work schedule. So I know that, again, not everyone's in a climate right now that supports that, but you can change the environment. You can go to a cafe, to a library, to a school, try to change it up a little bit and feel like wherever your normal work environment is, maybe you can go somewhere else and just see if that helps shift your energy a little bit. But what's really important to see with this is through meditation, through relaxation, and through rest, you're going to be able to come to a new understanding of what's going on in your life. It's going to essentially If not erase, then seriously reduce the stress and uncertainty that's associated with the Eight of Swords before it becomes the Nine of Swords, which is sleeplessness and further distress. The Eight of Swords is just soul searching, so you can handle that. Give yourself the time and space to do it. Let's take a look now at your wealth card and see what additional insights are coming through in that area. For wealth, your message is to return to something you love to do. Now the card itself says return to spirit, but what I am really looking at here is return to your inspiration. We talked about this being something that was deeply spiritual, that you were being guided to make a change perhaps. Notice how both of these have wings and look like they're really taking you in the direction that you need to go. So I would say whether or not you're going to make this your day job or it's a passion on the side, what I see is you could start to make more money and be more successful by either launching your own business or going down a path that either you've put to the side or haven't done because maybe someone told you that it wasn't practical. If you're already working your passion, this is saying keep kindling or rekindling all of those great ideas that got you on that path, so that the more you are attached to something that you love, or the more you can find something you love about what you're doing, the more success you're going to find in that path. So you have to somehow either figure out why you started this adventure and this career originally and get grounded in that again and feel like you fall in love with it again, or go towards what your heart is telling you to do. If you do that, you're going to be not just healthier, but also happier and more successful. And so I think that that's going to be essential in long-term success. So yeah, get inspired about what you're doing or start doing something that inspires you, if that makes sense. Let's now take a look at love and relationships and see what the message is there. Give it one more shuffle. Okay, so for relationships, we have listen. There's a lot of listening and soul searching for you this month. So what's nice about it is the overall energy for your sign is pretty subtle. And even though it looks like the rockiest point is like right at the beginning or it was at the end of last month, so either the beginning of this month or the end of last month, and now I feel like this month is really about quieting down, figuring out what you want, taking next steps, and also planning for the future. So when it comes to love, some of that same energy is spilling over into that. It's really just important to listen, and my channeled information was to open your heart to new perspectives. And when somebody tells you something, you don't have to automatically agree with it. So if you're in a, if your friend comes to you and there's a lot going on and you want to sort of give advice, this month it might be better just to be present. And you could ask them, you could say, what can I do for you? Do you just need a listening ear? Do you need advice? You can ask people how they need you to be present. Then that way you don't have to read their minds and you're not failing them if you decide to do something. So sometimes if you step in or overstep, that can be annoying. But if you ask them what they need, let them know, I care about you, I want to be there for you. How can I be of the most support to you? Is it just to listen? And if that's it, you don't have to offer advice. You can just affirm what they're saying. Say, it really sounds like that's difficult, or I'd love to hear more. Just be there for them. A listening ear can be a wonderful thing. Plus, you can learn from this. You can learn from their successes, their mistakes. You can also realize that we're all kind of going through the same thing together. Sometimes we feel like we're in a silo and nobody understands. And then it just takes one vulnerable person in your life that opens up, that shares some of the same insecurities, and suddenly you realize you're okay. So listening can actually make you feel even more stable in your own life. So be a listener this month. And if you need to talk to someone, talk to someone. But I'm not seeing, this isn't about a brand new love coming in. This is about supporting existing loves in your life or existing relationships in your life. And I think that it's really important this month to focus on your foundation, what's next, the contingency, and then when it comes to these relationships, making sure that everybody feels like they're taken care of and listened to. All right, finally, let's take a look at your destiny card to see where you're headed and if you like that trajectory. I already see that there's a lot of change going on, a lot of soul searching, But let's see if there's any additional insight on how you can maximize all of these opportunities that are coming through. Now, this is a beautiful tree that is really rich in reserves. You notice that there's like this bucket of water right by it, and it holds a lot of water. So what I'm looking at here is the capacity for you to create a rich future where you're going to have more than enough. To me, this card reads abundance. And although there is a lot of change going on for you, I actually see you setting up a path where you're going to have more abundance in the future and more than enough to take care of yourself. So this is almost like a 10 of Pentacles card coming through at the end. So although these changes could be making you uncomfortable, I actually feel like they're all happening for exactly the right reasons at the right time. So I just need you to trust in that, and also trust in what we were talking about earlier, finding your passion, finding what is inspiring you. And if you do that, that's where you're going to have this beautiful sustainability card, which we see with this tree. Let's go ahead and review everything that I talked about today. At the very beginning, I mentioned that the channeled information was that you wanted to focus on removing boundaries that you have in your heart, not getting defensive, opening up. And as we looked at what others in your love life or even your close friends might be needing, it was for someone to be there and listen to them. So that actually makes perfect sense once we expanded the forecast. When we looked at your catalyst card today, it was to harness that creative energy within and also get closer to your spiritual side. And when we looked at the outcome card, it's the Hermit, which is all about introspective work. Just don't stay in the Hermit phase for more than 2 to 3 weeks this month. You really want to be out of that by the end of the month. And once you do that, then I think you'll be able to embrace and share all these new things that you've been learning and working on. As we look at all of the cards and their respective messages, at the center we have Queen of Cups in reverse, showing some difficulty with relationships. Right underneath her we have the Death card. So for some of you that can mean a breakup or a separation. We have the Nine of Wands here, which is also showing that especially if there's any fighting or difficulty with communication, you want to step back a little bit, and you might be able to avoid that breakup, but either way, there's going to need to be some changes that have to happen. These cards also speak to, for some of you, a warning to not give up on something that you want to fight for. So it could be that relationship. It could also be, like I said, a long-term goal that you've been working towards and you're near completion, but you might be exhausted or you might be pressured to let go of it. Do it only if you want to, because it's most important that you follow your heart and spirit this month, as we see with the Dragonfly. The Six of Wands in reverse, the Emperor in reverse, trying to step away from other people that are telling you what to do or pushing you to do something. Eight of Swords reverse is really just that question that I talked about earlier, which is, what do you want to do? What would make you happy? What inspires you? And when we looked at your career card, it was telling you to go back to spirit, what you love. And when I looked at your final card, your destiny card, it shows sustainability if you decide to do that. So really think about that. I see success in working in your passion, so don't be afraid to take a chance on yourself. As we look at the ego card, it's the Four of Swords. Again, it's not so much about sleep, it's about making time to rest and become inspired. And you see the same symbol here. It's butterflies in this deck, but it's very similar to have the dragonfly and the butterfly. So in your time of rest, you're going to get inspired. Seven of Pentacles in reverse, just make sure that your money's working for you. Whether it's investments or paying down debts, you'll know what to do. Work on contingencies with the Two of Wands, and again, come out of your shell by month's end. The only things that I didn't talk about in the expanded forecast for health, again, resting and reconsidering things. Don't sit too long on some of these deep soul questions that we're talking about. You should know almost immediately what you want to do, and if not, then try to just do something that creates a sense of fun and joy in your life, because originally when I was looking at this card, it's about movement, it's about expressing yourself. So do something that can perhaps get you inspired too. So, you know, maybe it's going and seeing art, or, you know, working with some friends that you haven't seen or some peers that you haven't seen for a while. And I think we reviewed everything else in the expanded forecast, but I'll just touch on it one more time. Again, rest for health. You're going to get inspired with that. For wealth, return to something that you love. That's going to bring sustainability, happiness, and success. For love, play the role of listener or ask for a listening ear if you need it. And finally, for your destiny card, as you start to embrace what you love, sustainability, long-term success comes with that. So remember, work your passion. That's actually the secret to life if you can make it happen. So that brings our monthly reading to a close, but I hope you received the energy and information that you needed from this forecast. And if you ever want to talk to me about something going on in your life, maybe there's a big life change or a question that one of these general readings doesn't answer, then feel free to schedule an appointment with me. The first link right underneath the video, you'll see that there's a booking link. You can check my rates and availability there. If you just like these videos and you'd like to say thanks, there's a link also to donate on my website, and that goes directly towards buying supplies like the tarot cards that I'm using, paying for equipment, and basically all of the behind the scenes production costs that I have to make the videos from month to month. So know that a little bit, even $1 goes a long way, so feel free to donate if you can. Otherwise, stay in touch with me. I'd love for you to do that at the very least. I have several ways to do so. There's a subscribe button right below the video, plus a notification button, and that's the easiest way to do it with just using YouTube's built-in notification system. But you can also join me. I have a newsletter. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and I always disseminate information to those pages as soon as new videos are posted. So join me there if you can. Just a quick note that my Instagram handle has changed, and the third link right under the video will be that. So feel free to click that and relink up with me if you'd like to on Instagram. Finally, and most importantly, I want to end with a note of gratitude. I so appreciate the work that you're continuing to do on yourselves. As I was meditating on all of the signs and the work that we're doing together, I saw this beautiful chain of light. And I don't know if you guys know it, but you are really working to create a better world just by improving yourself. And if you ever feel kind of hopeless or helpless in the world events that are going on, don't. I want you to continue to work on yourself. You can get involved in the world if you want to as well, but just doing that self-improvement is already making the world a brighter and lighter place. So thank you for doing that, and most importantly, thanks for letting me take part in that too. It gives me a lot of sense of joy. So I wish you much love and happiness now and always. Take care of yourselves. Bye.